Hi, I'm Jeff Holden. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion is to highlight a nonprofit organization in each weekly episode, giving that organization an opportunity to tell their story in their words to better inform and educate the respective communities they serve, as well as provide one more tool for them to share their message to constituents and donors. Our goal is to help build stronger communities through shared voices and to both encourage and support the growth of local nonprofit organizations through podcasting. Thanks to our founding partners for their foresight in helping us transform the way conversations start. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. Runyon Saltzman Incorporated, RSE, marketing, advertising, and public relations creating integrated communications committed to improving lives. And Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. In the greater Sacramento region, we're blessed to have an incredible system of higher education. Our four-year universities get most of the attention, but it's our community college system that is really doing a lot of the heavy lifting. This episode is going to surprise and maybe even in some cases delight, as it's going to shed some light on the incredible work being done on the north end of our region by the Sierra College Foundation. I don't want to spoil the exciting news we're going to hear from Sonbol Aliabadi, Executive Director of the organization, but I will preview that very few community colleges are doing what the Sierra College Foundation is doing to support the students on campus. Learning more about the foundation's incredible work and the influence it has in the community are only going to scratch the surface of how much this thriving organization has going on for the greater good of the students. And since students, whatever it is they might look like in age, race, or gender, are our future, why not make an investment in them through the foundation? Let's find out why now. Sonbol Aliabadi, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for having me. Really appreciate it.
Well, I'm excited because I have some familiarity with the campus, the Sierra College campus, and we'll talk a little bit about one of your funding opportunities that come off the campus, and that's my familiarity. But I'm going to hold that because it's more fun. It fits
Sure.
better later in the conversation. When our kids were little, and when you go to the grammar schools, even the high schools, private, charter, whatever, there's this sense of support. And you want to do what you can to support the teachers, the school, all the little fundraisers and the things and activities that go on when your children are young, because there's an attachment to it. But as they grow and they get through high school, they get into college, that sense of support changes a little bit because now they're adults and they're off on their own. And as parents, I think a lot of us will look back and go, well, that's college. That's a different deal. But that's not really the case any longer because the colleges, the community colleges especially, need the support to continue. And while it may not come from the parents of the children literally, it's coming in a variety of different ways. And that's what I want to talk about today. Tell us a little bit about the Sierra College Foundation, which is different than what, the student comes, they pay tuition, they get to school, and it functions and operates the entity. But the foundation is a whole different element that supports the students. So tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. You could have not framed it better. Again, if I can give you a little background, I used to be incredibly involved with my children's school.
Yep.
Fundraising activities, events, scholarship, this, that. It was our school. It was our little school that needed support. And all parents, we were there because we knew what was happening. It was a small environment, and we knew every dollar where it goes and how it's spent and how it's going to benefit our students. And then I came to Sierra College Foundation, our community college in our region. And I quickly realized that, the parents are not involved. The same way that I wasn't involved with my children's college experience. It's theirs. They're an adult now, so it's their experience. Mm-hmm. It's not mine anymore. And I quickly realized that the funders or the donors, if you will, to a community college environment or any higher education, it really isn't the parents, and I will rephrase that. Maybe some of our bigger colleagues,
Yes,
the
donors
4
and-
years colleges and all that, they get the alumni involved, and there are lots of money that goes to them. But again, focusing back on the community college, there has not been, for the longest time, the need or the ask of the community to support their community college. Everybody always thought, oh, the fund is coming from the state, it's fully funded, it's public, like our schools, our regular K through 12 schools. Not understanding that not everything comes from the state, not understanding that there are students that truly rely on on some kind of assistance. I mean, for example, our community college, 55% of our students, they qualify for aid. That's a big number. And these are students that do not have the parents who have the capacity to help them. Some decide not to help them. And they really are trying their best to be successful and to create their own path to success and their future. So as I was learning in my tenure in the community college world, I learned that, okay, the parents are not involved, but the community can get involved. And the community needs the college, right?
And they need to be involved in the college.
100%.
Because the college provides them employees, the college provides them tax revenue.
Exactly.
The college provides all these other jobs for the infrastructure and operation of the college.
Exactly. I mean, first of all, Sierra College is one of the largest employers in the county, so that's in itself, says a lot about,
Yes.
However, over 55% of the public safety officers come from a community college environment. They are educated. They are nurses, our police officers, our EMTs, our in firefighters. They come from a community college, and in our case, from Sierra College, and generally, they reside, within the community. So, as we tell our story, as we go around and talk about what Sierra College, the programs which we have and we offer, and when we present at different chambers, at different service organizations, and when you let them know that there is, as I said, 55% of your nurses, when you're in a hospital, when someone's drawing your blood, when, God forbid, your house has an emergency and a firefighter needs to come by. They're all educated from the college. All of a sudden, they look at us differently. They look at us as a resource. And when you're a resource to the community, then the community really wants to be there to help you. And I am incredibly proud and fortunate to say that our stories have been so strong, and our what we have been able to share with our community has generated a lot of support, which in turn would lead to our student success. The student success is, of course, what we strive for. That's that's Sierra College's mission. We need to educate students to be successful in their future.
How old is the college?
Very interesting question. I just learned myself. Next year, 2026, Sierra College will be 90 years old.
Oh my gosh.
90 years
Never
old.
would I have thought that old.
Exactly.
And the foundation has existed for about how long?
Since 1976.
Okay.
So we're coming up to our
50th?
goodness, 50th.
Yes.
Yeah. No, 60th. Is it 60th? 50th. I'm confused now. Yes, 60th.
Isn't that amazing?
That is truly amazing. We've been in existence for that long. I have been with the foundation for quite a bit now, for almost 20 years. And
Good for you.
We have seen a lot of growth. We've seen a lot of changes, all for the better, I would say, and could not be prouder to be part of an organization that I know does so much for our students.
To see people who sit across from me in this chair who have tenure in their role. Usually they came up through some sort of board position and graduated to executive director, CEO, whatever it may be. But it gives so much intellectual equity, experiential equity in the role the conversations are so different as opposed to somebody who may be transferred into a role for, they've been there a few years, whatever it may be. But understanding the community and residing in the community and the organization makes such a difference in the ability to feel what needs to be done. It becomes more than just a factual decision in so many cases. A lot's changed since I went to college, and I went to college in the Midwest, so it looked very, very different than our colleges here then. And today, they all look very, very different. You know, the students we have here, you know, we've got a large immigrant population that's attending our schools that didn't look like that 10, 20, 30 years ago. We've got foster kids emancipating out, going to college to change their situations. We've got budding entrepreneurs going to the community colleges. And we've got seniors, in some cases, going to college to finally get that degree that they've always wanted. How does the foundation address such a diverse population of students?
Again, through storytelling. I strongly believe in storytelling. I mean, I'm not saying it in a vain way, but it's reality. I mean,
it's everything, I think.
When you talk about a student who comes through a foster care system and arrives on our doorstep with literally a black garbage bag in their hand, and that's all their belonging. They have lived through 16 or 17 different homes. And by the grace of God, they have some desire to come make something out of themselves. They land on our doorstep with nothing. When you look at them and you start working with them and you offer them support, you offer them the priority registration, then you give them a care pack, which I call Care Pack with Love, that's filled with basic hygiene items and maybe a calculator or a, or a set of anything that they might need, even glasses or whatnot, and some gift card to go buy. So, as an example, a student comes to us who has been quote unquote emancipated, and he or she has lived in 16, 17 different homes, foster homes, and they arrive on our doorstep with a garbage bag in their hand that's full of their belongings, and that's all they have. They've never had a family support. They've never had anyone to guide them through their life journey. And, when I look and see that at Sierra College, one of the counselors starts working with them and creating the trust, because trust doesn't exist with these population. They've been really done wrong by the system, right? So you start the relationship and you create a trust going between the two, and then you understand what are their needs, how much mental health assistance they might need, how much help they need for housing, how much help they need for, transportation, et cetera, and you start to wrap them around with all the services that they need to be successful. And then you follow them through and you see them in about 2.5 years walking through, the graduation line and getting their degree. I mean, that's success. You tell that story. I mean, the statistics around foster students coming through a college, first of all, only 3% of the entire population that has gone through foster care attended college. And of that, the graduation rate is 0.07.
Ooh.
So when you look at those statistics, and then you see the little support that you were able to offer, the $500 emergency fund that you provided for them to, pay for their, let's say, the utility that has been, they're trying to turn off, or et cetera. You have been able to keep them at school with that small amount of support. That's a story that you can repeat, and that story generates additional continuous support to the population.
And it's a constant. For once, it's a constant. You're not going to get moved and changed and shifted. The people who care for you for the duration of your experience in college, which they don't ever see.
Exactly.
Until they get to this point.
And if they're lucky, if they arrive at some place like Sierra College,
yes.
Sierra College, I'm so proud. We are a Guardian Scholar program, which means that we're offered, by the way, amongst community colleges, it's very rare. our four-year colleges like the UC Systems and Cal State, they all have Guardian Scholar.
Yeah,
That
I
is
know.
a
Sac State has a big Guardian Scholar
huge,
program with a president who was a foster kid.
absolute 100%, exactly. So Sierra College, we became a Guardian Scholar organization, and in order to get there, you have to meet certain criteria. You know, for example, to offer stipend for housing, to offer stipend for food, to have priority registration for the students, to have counselors on hand to help them, et cetera, et cetera. So when we met that was a big deal. We were able to qualify for additional funding for our students.
Wonderful.
So with that, now we know that again, our students are cared for. And as you said, they meet one counselor and that counselor stays with them. And then we do a warm handoff to one of our other four-year colleges. Sac State is one of our largest transfer that we do to their Guardian Scholar program, and we track their success.
I see, that's wonderful because they are guided and handheld with special care all the way through.
100%.
And that's what so many of them need. Again, it's the first time somebody's really paid attention to them in the way that children and students should be paid attention to.
Definitely.
And that's as a result of the foundation.
Definitely.
Because
Again,
the school wouldn't be able to
they
manage
can't.
all that.
No, they won't be able to. Again, it all comes down to finances. You know, I mean, how much money can a student set aside for other necessities of life that comes on? I mean, everything is about basic need, and you have to address basic need at the minimum. And for the longest time, the college environment in general, the community colleges, their charter was just to educate. That was it. A student comes to you, and hopefully 2-3 years later, they get an AA degree and AS degree, and they move on to a 4-year, or maybe they do a CTE program, career tech education. They do that. They go get a job. However, now we see more and more in the past 3 to 5 years, I would say, that the community college's mission is a lot more than educating. We are offering wraparound services to our students. We recognize that education is one component, but if you don't have, let's say, mental health, if you don't have a regular, health benefit, if you don't have your basic need taken care of, there's no way that someone can concentrate and to complete their journey, or attain the degree that they wish, or get that certificate, becoming a mechanic or a welder, or et cetera. So the college has taken the role, some sort of a social work to offer services. So again, because we are not highly qualified to do all of that, we partner with a lot of our community organizations, with the county, with the city, and we all collaborate together to bring the much needed support that is required to offer assistance. Another population that I can bring up are the veterans, because they're incredibly close to our heart at Sierra College. We have a very large veteran population. And the reason is, it's not because we're near any bases or anything.
Right. It's
the services we provide. Again, we believe in wraparound services. We believe, for example, in a veteran situation, it's, an individual comes to us from active duty, from any of parts of the world, and their life has been very regimented, and they're all in a
structured,
team, etc. And all of a sudden, you bring him into the society with no support. That's difficult. In order to streamline them back into community, you need to be very conscientious about how you do it. For example, we have a class at Sierra that's called Boots to Books. It's your regular English class. However, the instructors work with the students, with the veterans. And first of all, it's in a cohort. Cohort environment, that's what makes the students feel more comfortable to be in that cohort. And then they work with them. They counsel them on how they can move back or fit back better into the community. We have a Veteran Success Center that is an incredibly welcoming environment that the student walks in. From the moment they walk in, they get all the assistance that they need for their college work. They take care of the GI Bill. They help them sign up for classes. And that's where foundation comes in. We want to make sure that they don't use up all their GI dollars for community college, because the four-year schools are much more expensive. That way we come in and we offer book vouchers to them. We offer transportation assistance. And so using that model, again, wraparound services around each group of individuals has proven to be incredibly successful for our student success.
One thing that I never thought of, other than somebody stayed out too late or partied too long and slept in her car for an evening, was the homelessness situation with our students. And we've had several people on that cater and service the student population. It's, I would almost say, epidemic in terms of how many students are struggling just to find housing. Exactly. And I know the foundation is critical in supporting that. Tell us a little bit about what we see at Sierra College, because people might think, oh, it's Placer County. That's a whole different ballgame. It's not the same as when you're in Sacramento or wherever else you might be. What's it like at Sierra?
Exactly. And as you said, the unhoused student or homeless student was never even brought to our attention. And I want to say it was probably right around COVID that we became very familiar with this unfortunate situation that exists. I actually checked some numbers last night. In general, in California, in community college system, there are 200,000 students that are homeless or unhoused.
Homeless, insecure, whatever it may be,
exactly.
Housing insecure.
In Placer County, as you said, people think, oh, Placer County is wealthy, it's rich. No, 230 students that we can count for. Wow. They have housing insecurity, for lack of better terminology. And that means they don't have a roof over their shelter. Over their heads. They sleep in their cars. They share, they're on a couch surfing. They go from friend's home to friend's home. And these are the ones that are self-identified. There are some that they don't want to, it's pride. They don't want to talk about it. But even our police officers that we have around campus, or faculty members, or some of our custodial, they find students sleeping in the car and they let us know. And so when this almost became, as you said, an epidemic, it was like, wow, how can we support? What can we do? So the foundation immediately, went to work, and we, first and foremost, the first thing that we could do was to identify a space that we could send these students so they can be there and they have a roof over their head. And it was one of our local hotels, motels, whatever you want to call them, and they had some extended program. So we were able to partner with them and get a better rate and have a contract in place with them that they would accept our students as soon as we send them. And then, we would pay and all that. And there was a lot to figure out, because there's this deposit, there's the, security, this, that. Nobody wants, when you talk about homeless, they all, immediately some other thoughts comes to mind, and we had to reassure them these are students. They want to have a house. They want to be in a place. So we forged that relationship with one of the motels around us, and it has been an amazing relationship that we've had for the past few years. And then what we would house them for like 2-3 weeks, and until we find a permanent housing for them, because again, 2-3 weeks is not enough to solve anything. So we would work with our partners in the community, try to find out what options are available. Again, we work with our financial aids office because through their filling out their FAFSA, the financial aid program, we would understand how much money that they can have, and we can come up with, yes, they can pay for the rent potentially, but the entry of it, the first month and deposit, that was a really hindrance. So that's where the foundation came in. We said, okay, we'll try, if we have a plan for a student, we can pay for the first month and last month and the security deposit, as long as we know that they can move that forward.
Manage the rest of it.
Manage the rest of it. And that became incredibly successful. And the stories we've had are just mind-boggling of the students. And again, you're comfortable, you're in your own home, you take another job, so you immediately have confidence in doing what you need to do to be successful. Then we move forward. We as part of our learning, Sierra College is one of the very, very few colleges in the state that has housing. We have dorm rooms.
Which I'm so glad you brought that up because we're going to get there. Amazing to me that a community college would have housing.
It's actually, they're very well known for being the 49ers summer.
Back in the day, that's right.
Back in the day, exactly.
I remember
they
going
used
to the training camp there all the time.
100%.
And maybe that's why, because they had housing, huh?
Exactly. That's the only reason.
Got it.
They came up and the weather was nice, warmer than Bay Area, et cetera. And so we had a field and they practiced there. By the way, 49ers has not won a Super Bowl ever since they left us.
Well, there you go.
So we have written to them. We've asked them, invite them to come back. I'm kidding.
Right.
So we have dorm rooms. What we did, we immediately started working with our residence hall. We have set aside 10 beds for our foster youth. Those were the ones that were at the highest need at that time. So we set that aside, and so that became very successful. Fast forward, we have one of our wonderful funders, Sutter Health, had provided some dollars to support our basic needs center to offer assistance to the students with need. So I communicated with them the need for having housing on campus that's available as a temporary housing. So when we find an unhoused student, we can have them there. It's nice to have the hotel, but it's much, much better, for a student to be on campus.
Amongst the
peers, where they can get the counseling they need, when they can have this cafeteria or the basic needs center and all of that. So Sutter was incredibly generous to allow us to use funding from that. Now we have 4 beds available at any given time for students that come across our way that we know of, that they're homeless. We put them up there for a minimum of 30 days until we find them housing. If that 30 days does not happen, then we can extend it up to 90 days. So we have at least 4 beds right now that's available to all kind of, different students who might have a housing need. So that has become incredibly successful. But I take it to the next level, if I may. So Sierra College is incredibly lucky and fortunate to have been awarded $80 million to build.
Every other nonprofit hearing this, every other community college, every other university is going, what?
What is the right word? But you have to be ready, and you make your timing.
Yes.
It's all about timing and luck, I would say. So this is how it all came about. We knew we have 124 beds currently, and it's completely fully occupied with 500 people on wait list at any given time. So we knew that there is a very high demand for housing, especially affordable housing, because it's just expensive. It's incredibly expensive in California, and Placer County is, as expensive. So we were ready. We had designed housing, for additional 350 housing for the college, and we were shovel ready. But then we did the numbers, and it would not pencil out, because if we were to build it ourselves, we had to charge market rate, which is like $1,800, $1,900 a bed,
right?
Per month for the student, and who can afford that?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can afford that. So we shelved that. Literally, we put that on hold until State of California offered the opportunity for some of the higher eds to apply. And Sierra College was the first one who applied. And we were just because we were ready, we presented, and we were amongst the first 8 that was selected. And we were given $80 million. And we were the first to go actually start the project into
Excellent.
the ground. So it's unfortunate to say that none of the other ones have been able to be as quick and nimble as us. And right now, with all the issues that's going on with the budget,
right?
It's a little difficult. Sierra College is advocating for everybody who was selected to be able to get their funds to be able to build, because we know how important it is. So needless to say, Sierra College started. We're 50% right now at the completion, 354 affordable bed.
And that's on top of the 154 that you have already.
Correct.
So you're talking over 500, 600 beds. at some point that you can have access to for the students. Amazing.
It's incredible. And the most incredible portion of this is the affordability. When I say affordable, remember I said market rate is about $1,800. We're able to offer this to our students with the highest need at $550 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Which is amazing. It's unheard of. It really is affordable.
Yes.
However, foundation being the foundation, we had a conversation with our president, who's honestly the best president there is in any community college system, not because I'm biased, but he is. He is amazing. Willie Duncan, an incredible leader. He's been with the Sierra College for 14 years, which is, again, another record. Normally, community college presidents only stay maybe 3 years to maybe 4, if at the most, but he's been with us for 14 years. And he is a can-do person, and he's a yes, let's do it together person. So when we were talking about this opportunity for our, affordable housing for our students, he and I looked at each other, and I said to him, Willie, $550 is amazing, but there's some students that $550 is absolutely unaffordable. There's no way that they can afford it. So he looks at me and says, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to raise enough money to be able to offer free beds. And he says, what do you mean? I'm like, let's calculate quickly. So the two of us, we calculated, we came up with a dollar amount of $250,000. Imagine, $250,000 generates at a very, very conservative rate of 3% per year in perpetuity. That's $7,500 a year.
Oh, so you're doing it almost as an endowment.
It is an endowment.
Oh, wonderful idea.
It is an endowment. I will never do anything that's not an endowment because it has to be sustainable. It has to continue, right? And you leave
room.
You're
doing conservatively at 3 or 4%?
Yeah.
Market's been running 20.
So what we do is it grows.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is our goal is to give out minimum of 3 to 4%, but then the rest goes into the fund because we know inflation is going to happen, right? We need to be able to afford and increase the amount of payout at a future date. So that started the program called Endow-a-Bed for Sierra College. So Sierra College Foundation has embarked on a journey to raise enough money to endow 10 beds to offer to our students with the most need.
Wonderful. And again, the foundation. This would not happen any other way.
Exactly.
The benefit of the foundation, as people struggle. The foundation. Help me understand. That's, if we distilled it just down to that, the fact that you're able to get those 10 beds handled for those students is amazing. Yeah. Not to mention you get 350 some rooms coming up.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. So it's a life changer. And it's a program that has really taken off. I mean, right now I'm at 7 3/8, as I call it, and we still have 1 year to go for the building to finish. But I have been talking to my colleagues around the state. Everybody is hearing about our program.
I can only imagine. It's a wonderful idea.
It's a really, I think, if I may say so myself, it's a brilliant, life-changing idea.
Yeah.
And we are encouraging everyone to take part and to do it because it's tangible. You can find individuals, alumni, or just community, philanthropically minded individuals, corporate and other foundations. They want to support those who are interested in this, which I would argue a lot of people are. If I may do a shout out for a couple of our local organizations that have done that.
They need the recognition, the people 100%. Who support our
the
organizations.
One that is incredibly meaningful is Mikuni's. So Taro, an incredible gentleman. He is. He was one of our first supporters to Endow-a-Bed, and the reason he did that was he came to Sierra College when he didn't speak a word of English. He had a instructor at his ESL class who literally said, "Taro, I'll teach you one word at a time." And Taro says he owes a lot to Miss Nancy, who was a professor at the ESL.
And just a quick aside, he's been in that chair several times, different organizations interviewing him. The first 2 words that he knew well when he got here, no problem.
Yes.
No problem. Which can get you in trouble pretty quickly.
Of course. So we're incredibly proud of, what he had done to pay it forward for the community. So Mikuni organization did one bed. Sutter, of course, Sutter has been tremendous supporter of ours.
And
so
we get that from so many organizations that we speak with. Sutter just is a wonderful community partner.
Yes.
And such a presence. And such a presence in Placer County with that massive campus they've got.
100%. Amazing. And then one of the most memorable ones, for me at least, and of course, the foundation itself, the board members, they Endow-a-Bed as well. So that's amazing. That's incredibly generous and thoughtful. The most memorable for me at least is a student helping themselves.
Really?
So the Sierra College student body, they decided to Endow-a-Bed, one for their own. And the way in which they wanted to do it, they wanted to make sure that that bed is available for any student at any given time as a temporary housing, as an emergency housing for a student. So they helped themselves. So I am so proud of them for taking that initiative and wanting to, to do that.
Well, and the fact that the students are aware.
Oh, yes.
Half the battle is awareness.
Exactly.
And they know, and they want to help each other.
That's very true.
Which is extremely complimentary.
It really is. And so to take it to the, as I said, we're only at 7 3/8, which is actually quite impressive. But,
yes.
I need to be at 10. We are hoping that this year, we usually have an annual gala. Events are normally not our favorite at fundraiser part. It takes a lot of time and whatever. However, our events have been very, very successful and supported by the community. Last year at our event, we were able to Endow-a-Bed, which was fantastic. So we did one of those. And this year, again, we had a conversation last night at our board meeting, and the board would like to continue. But this time, this bed will be specifically for a veteran. So which would be tremendous.
Yep.
It would be, how can you thank an individual who has served our country?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the least we can do. There are many of our, the veterans are incredibly proud. They never want to ask for anything, but we know that they have needs. They have financial need, and this way, having that bed available to them at any, for any of our veterans who face homelessness would be huge. So we're so proud to be able to do that, and I already have some support from the community.
Well, and as we're speaking today, it's late January 2025. This episode will have a shelf life of, let's say 2 years. Next year, we'll have to do a little bit of an addendum just to say, okay, the facility is built. We've got our 10 beds endowed. Here's what's happening. Throw some pictures up so people can see and just do an update on it, because I think it's so unique and wonderful what's happening.
Yeah.
You mentioned a little bit earlier collaboration with your community partners. Who are some of those people that maybe it's other nonprofits? One of the things that's important to me with the program is to educate others about organizations that maybe they didn't know about. It's easy to get very myopic in your own space, and then you realize right down the road somebody's doing something very similar that could be very, very beneficial. And we've had the ability to do that already in just our short year, and it's wonderful to know when somebody says, "Oh, I met with them. What a great organization! Had no idea." How about the people that you work with?
100%. So again, referring back because it's fresh in my mind, last night we had a presentation. We have a mission moment during our board meeting. We had our manager of our Basic Needs Center present. This is a presentation that she and I had done together. And the Basic Needs Center is now it's 2 years old. It is central location on campus. The students usually walk in for food. It's a food pantry, they think, because hunger is another thing that is really, it's a taboo. Nobody wants to talk about how hungry they are. So we've created this environment that's very welcoming, and they can come and they can take food as they need and all that. But the Basic Needs Center, as I said, it started as a food pantry, but now it offers all kinds of services. You mentioned collaboration. So we have an office available in the Basic Needs Center that the county comes in, and they provide the CalFresh, the food program that they come in and they offer to our students. They sign them up right there and then. The students didn't know that this is available to them, so we encourage them. And this brings the county in where the people are that they need to support, right? Then we've got a relationship with our women's shelter in Placer County, Stand Up Placer. They're a domestic violence situation that, unfortunately happens, and we're able to bring them on campus, not only for education, but for counseling purposes, and we can direct our students to go there if they need assistance. We work with, there's an organization that provides assistance to families with children.
Kids First?
No, Lighthouse. The Lighthouse. We have a great relationship with Lighthouse, and they provide diapers, formulas, etc. We work, mentioning that, we work with our service organizations, Rotaries, for example. I present at the Rotaries on a regular basis about what we do and all that, and so they have adopted our Basic Needs Center, and they bring in quarterly, they come in with diapers and formula and other necessities for the families of the students, because we have students with families, right? So we work with our, the organizations like Rotary or Seroptimus, etc. We work with City of Roseville, City of Rockland, City of Lincoln. All of them, they have services that they offer. It's transportation. We have an amazing collaboration going in with PCTPA, which is the Placer County Transportation Authority. And we are offering free ride to Sierra students.
Perfect.
So they can use the, public transportation. These are just a few. We've got
I'm sure you have to touch with the foster organizations.
Oh, 100% with CASA and
Yes.
all of them. We are, day in and day out, we have actually a task force that we have Sierra counselors who sit with the county folks to talk about the opportunities in which we can support our foster youth. Veterans organizations, we work with all of the veteran organizations in Placer County and Sacramento County as well. So it's really unique, yet it's, it shouldn't be unique. It should be available to everyone, and that's the name of the game because we can't do it all.
Right. Well, see, that's an embedded organization. We'll continue our enlightening conversation on student support with Sonbol Aliabadi right after we hear the great messaging about the organizations that make this program possible.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
I'm thrilled to have Western Health Advantage partnering with us as they do so much to support so many nonprofit agencies in our community. As a truly local health plan, you'll find individual and family options, employer options, plans for CalPERS and Medicare Advantage. From medical services to pharmacy, health and wellness support, as well as behavioral health care, Western Health Advantage has a plan that fits what you need. As an employer, for profit or nonprofit business, individual or family, you can find more at westernhealth.com. You happen to have the big facility of a campus and a school, but the foundation still sits a little bit aside. It still has its own relationships to build. It still has to do its own thing, and it has to generate its own revenue.
Exactly.
And you've shared some of that. Let's talk a little bit about funding. Mm-hmm. How are you funded? It's not just an event or two.
No. Yeah. So I was so proud, actually, our goal was $3 million last year to raise. Mm-hmm. We exceeded that, and we were at close to $4.5 million, so which is amazing.
Your goal was 3 and you hit 4.5?
So we've done really, really, really well. And again, because of the
Congratulations.
Endow-a-Bed, thank you. The Endow-a-Bed, that's a campaign. That's a small campaign that we have in place. So how do we raise money? We raise money through, individuals, philanthropists in our community. They could either be an alumni, which is an interesting topic. I'll tell you a little bit about that. Alumni, other individuals in the community. It could be corporate partnership. It could be other, grant providers. You know, I mean, we have an amazing relationship right now with Bosch, who's supporting us.
Right in your backyard. Thank
Just arrived, and
goodness
we
Barry
have
Broom and his team were able to maneuver that into
100%
the
plus
greater Sacramento region.
Exactly. So we have an amazing relationship with them right now because they want our work. They want workforce, and Sierra is happy to provide it. And they know that there is a barrier to support. I mean, a barrier to education, and that's financial. So they want to make sure that every student who goes through the program, we have a great mechatronic program and welding program that they hire from. We offer financial assistance to them, so they have provided grants to us. U.S. Bank does the same thing for our construction boot camp. You know, again, the number of programs that we offer and the number of support that we receive related to them is tremendous. But major gift, corporate grants that we write to a local organization, and we have just started for federal grants that we write. So these are where we reach out to the community and we build
congratulations.
relationships.
You are doing an outstanding job of that. And one thing we know is the community colleges do provide some of the trades, the less glamorous, if you go that way. But it was always looked as, they get the trade. Today, the trades are the glamour.
100%.
That's where we're saying, hey, this is where we have a challenge. We need welders and construction and people who can do some of what used to be perceived as the labor because it's technical today.
Yes.
And it's our community colleges that are putting those students out there. So I think the future really is going to be so much different than what it was just 5 years ago as we realize, oh my gosh, we have a problem. We have a shortage of all these people that can't fix anything.
Exactly.
And construct things and weld things and electronically repair things.
As you mentioned, 100% correct. Not everyone needs to go to a 4-year college.
Right.
You can earn a very, very sustainable living going through a certificate program. I give you an example. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's going to get even better.
Yes.
To where the demand on those jobs is going to push them up to some of these highly trained collegiate jobs, 4-year college, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever your degree might be, to where the demand will be so high and the need so great that those students are going to have every bit the opportunity that somebody who's coming out, I don't want to disparage anybody's credential, but accountants and CPAs and even law degrees, attorneys.
Exactly. It's interesting. I mean, as you said, our programs, they are so well entrenched in our community. I mean, we went to a site visit in Simmons, down in Sacramento, South Sac area.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm sure you know that they
the
build
trains.
Trains.
The huge cars for public transportation.
100%. And they have a very strong relationship with Sierra College. They hire almost every welder that we go through our programs. They were telling us currently they have about 28 to 29 Sierra students who have gone through Sierra working there. They might have started at $20 an hour, but they're making upwards of $100,000, $120,000 a year there. I mean, 2-year degree, even sometimes not a degree, maybe only 3 classes. It offers them a sustainable, comfortable living. And the general manager was telling us that it's the most beautiful thing to see that, they come as an entry-level position, and the next thing you know, there is a brand new truck out there that they have been able to afford by,
Right.
As they get promoted. Another thing that is incredibly, I can name a lot of these opportunities. Another one, again, going back to Sutter, we have a program, actually, Roseville Chamber spearheaded a program called Talent Pipeline Management, TPM. They look at the different sectors to see what their workforce need is.
Need is, correct.
Exactly. So based on that, then they work with the higher educations in the region, trying to figure out what can we do, how can we support them. Again, all of this came from, Sierra hosted a Sierra Workforce Summit last year. That was the initial entree to this, and we brought in the different corporate, and organizations and trying to understand what their needs are, and so we can make sure that we're ready and to be nimble and to be able to help them. So Roseville Chamber take that on, and they have the TPM program. As part of their healthcare, they realize that our hospitals, Kaiser and Sutter and Mercy, they're canceling their surgeries because they don't have enough surgical techs. So, okay, out of that, immediately a program was born. It's a 3-semester program. Sierra started it this January 20, just recently. We started the program. 3 weeks, you go through the program, and you get hired at $35 an hour. And that solves a problem for our healthcare environment, and as well as offering a very comfortable living wage for our students. So it's initiatives like this that comes to us that enables Sierra College to be the community's college as we want to be. And again, the more stories like this that happens, the more success that happens, the easier it would be when I go to a partner or an individual and ask them to support the college and its initiatives. It happens.
And I just want to keep bringing that back for those people who don't quite understand the value of the foundation. It's the foundation that is this tentacle into the community in a different way that's picking up on all this stuff, because that's where it's going to come from. When you're asking people for support, they're going to say, well, what am I going to get out of it? What do you need?
Exactly.
And we'll create it.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of what's happening.
100% what you say is so accurate. When Sutter had, Sutter and Kaiser and all of them, they identified the need, the college immediately tried to respond, but we're quick. We're very nimble. State wasn't ready for us. So that meant that the students were not able to pay for their tuition. Guess what? Foundation came in, they said, we'll pay for their tuition. So we provided tuition for all the students who are in that Searchlight program.
Fantastic.
So it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Let's have a little fun for a second. You are so animated about what you do, and I love it. You happen to be in a great position with an excess of originally budgeted. So it's not like all organizations. But as you look at it, you've got this housing situation coming up in the next year and being built. You've got a little bit of a surplus from a budget. You have a lot of neat programs going on. If you just look at money's not an object, what would the foundation look like?
I would like to invest in identifying who our alumni are. That's the area that I think is a low-hanging fruit, but is the most difficult thing to do. The reason is, if I ask you, who's your alma mater, are you going to tell me about your community college? Chances are you won't.
4-year.
Exactly. It's always the 4-year that comes up. However, when you dive in and you talk to people and everything, you're like, well, yeah, it was my community college instructor who really motivated me to do this and do that, right? So more and more that conversation comes up, and so the importance of community college comes up. So if I had my way, I would run a campaign to identify Sierra College alumni, invite them back on the campus to see what we're doing and how well we're doing, and encourage them to be involved, encourage them to really take part in an organization that can change lives. We're all about student success. We're all about changing lives one at a time, I always say. And what better than a person who's gone through the program, it's himself, herself, to come back and try to pay it forward, to help. That would be my ideal, my dream to make that happen.
And what would that provide? My goodness, the people who have gone on to whatever 4-year college they went to and graduated from, that started there, is probably immense. Because we know what the Made at Sac State campaign is showing us, and all these people who still reside in our community, they still contribute, they become wonderful business owners and talent and contributors and politicians and whatever they may be. I would imagine a huge percentage of them came through Sierra College.
You'll be surprised. There is a function in LinkedIn. You can filter it by college or a place that you've been, higher education. 40,000+ individual have self-identified with Sierra College, and they have it on their LinkedIn portfolio.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's amazing. So
Well,
if
there's
I
a
can-
database.
There you go. It's how to mine it.
Right. That's right.
LinkedIn has made it a bit difficult to
Just can't get
capture
there, right?
Exactly. But yes, I mean, as you said, there are just tremendous opportunity there. And again, the opportunity equates to support for the future students, the future generation that's going to come through. So
I don't want to forget, as we were talking about funding, and it even parlays a bit into what I'm going to mention now. My greatest relation, one of our children went to Sierra College and moved on and graduated from Sac State. But what I'm most familiar with is the car lot.
yeah,
The auto fair, Sierra
Amazing.
College Auto Fair. I don't know how old it is, but as long as I can remember, we've been buying and selling cars there for family members and friends, and it's sometimes a weekend excursion. That has so much potential, and it has done so much over the course of years. I just had to mention it because I know so many people that enjoy it.
yes.
And you'll see the same faces showing up on a weekend just to go check and see what's going on up at the the lot.
I so appreciate you bringing that up. I mean, that is a tremendous amount of unrestricted dollars that comes to the Sierra College Foundation. And, you've talked to enough nonprofits to know it's one of the most difficult.
Unrestricted is what everybody wants.
Exactly. So Steve happens to be a Sierra College alum. And while he was at Sierra College, he had an entrepreneurial mind, and he thought about this idea. And then he thought about, what if I could do this? And this is way before I came on board. So when I came on board, this already existed. So it's not, I don't take
Right.
any credit for that, but take credit for the beautiful relationship that I have with Steve, and he has been supporting us for a long, long time. So he, as you know, it's open, and as he says it, 24. I mean, every weekend, come rain or shine, it's open. Friday to Sunday afternoon, it's open, and you bring your cars. And so he charges. He has a fee structure, etc. And from that, he makes a contribution, a very, very, very generous contribution to Sierra College Foundation. I can tell you that he has probably throughout his business, he has given more than 3 to 4 million to the foundation.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Wow.
So it's we are incredibly thankful for his support. And again, it's just a simple gesture that, he wanted to do something and he wanted to pay it forward. And it has been going and it's been growing, and it's benefited so many.
And such great visibility for the school.
100%.
You wouldn't go there otherwise. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I didn't
There's a college
know
here.
that. Yeah, there's a college here too.
Yeah.
And there's some sports diamonds or baseball diamonds and soccer fields and some motorcycle training going on on any given weekend when you go up there. So it's fun. Back to reality of funding. You've been fortunate, but there still is a need. I as a nonprofit, I know you'll spend it. Yeah. What's the greatest need that the foundation has?
Honestly, right now, the housing and food. Those two are probably the highest need for our students. Again, without those two, they cannot concentrate. They cannot focus on what they need to focus. And that's expensive. Housing is tremendously expensive. I mean, any support we can offer to lessen the burden, it allows them the opportunity, to be successful. I always say, we have a fund that's called SAFE Fund. SAFE, that's Student Assistance Fund Endowment, that offers assistance to students who indicate a need. And there's a very simple form that they fill out. There's only 5 questions: name, your first name, last name, your student ID, your nature of need, and how much. 5 questions, and they submit that. And I am incredibly proud to say that we try not to say no to any of those, because nobody asks if they don't need help, right? And the majority of that support, that help that is needed and comes to us is basic need. And the basic need, the most important, is housing and food. So if we are able to raise enough money, yes, we raised a lot of money last year, but we spend it. The need is there, so we have to give it back to the students. We don't sit on the money,
Right.
and so we spend it as quick as we get it, and it's in form of giving laptops to students. We were able to give 40 laptops with the support of AT&T last year, but again, there's fees associated with that and all that, or pay for the Wi-Fi access for the students. So if we can be available to our students and be responsive to their needs, which is always around basic need, always around, another area that is really, really of high need is childcare. We have students who are coming back to school again, or even starting school as an adult, or coming back to retool themselves, and they have childcare is expensive. Being able to support them. So basic need never ends, and that support is highly, highly needed.
What you're doing, not only for the greater county, but for the greater part of the region, because students come from all over. I imagine you even get some out-of-state students who recently moved in, but our immigrants, our veterans, our foster youth, the ability to go to school, the ability to have a roof over their head, somebody that cares to support them if they have that housing need, the basic needs of food and childcare is just amazing. And the intent of this conversation all along was to say foundations are needed. They have a huge contribution to the success of a student. The successful student then goes on to be a productive citizen. And you and your team, how many are there on the foundation?
5 of us.
Five.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
There's only 5 of you.
Yep.
What an amazing job. I expected to hear a lot more.
Yeah, 5. I'm actually just hired one person. She started last week, so that's 5.
It was 4.
4. Yeah.
Just an amazing job, Sonbol, that you're doing, and a great contribution to not only the community, but to the school and the academics and the employers and everybody that takes advantage of what the school has to offer is supported by the foundation. So thank you. Thank you for your time and sharing the stories and telling us what the Sierra College Foundation really does.
Thank you. I really appreciate you bringing attention to the foundation. As we always say, I'm an immigrant. Education is what saved me. That's, I always say, and my comment to everyone is that education is an investment that never loses its value. And if we're able to offer education to our community, that's the best we can do to pay it forward. So thank you for that.
And I couldn't agree with you more.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If what you heard moved you, please reach out to that organization and do what you can to help. If you like and appreciate what we're doing to support local nonprofits, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share. If you're a nonprofit with an interest in participating in an episode, you can reach me at jeff@hearmenowstudio.com. If you have a need for the services or products our sponsors offer, please reach out to them. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations, Runyon Saltzman Incorporated, RSE, marketing, advertising, and public relations creating integrated communications committed to improving lives, and Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. The Nonprofit Podcast Network is a production of, is recorded at, and edited by Hear Me Now Studio.